Welcome to Mr. Erbac's Retro Classic Video Game Review.
Welcome to Mr. Erbac's Gaming. Mr. Erbac's Retro Classic Video Game Reviews.
The last two Thanksgiving holidays, I covered football games. Football Frenzy, and Super High Impact Football. Since the Super Bowl is coming up, I will review a Tecmo Super Bowl game. For 3 different episodes of Steve Erbac's Gaming, I showcase gameplay of different Tecmo games. Tecmo Super Bowl for the NES,
This is Steve Erbac's Gaming. Tecmo Super Bowl gameplay. Hope you enjoy this gameplay.
there he is, I can fly! Take that, thank you very much. Tecmo Super Bowl for the Super Nintendo. And Tecmo Super Bowl for the Sega Genesis. There he is! Toby the Mind Keenan briefly covered the original arcade Tecmo Bowl on the SEGSN Sports Break. Football news. The Wildcats and the Bulldogs of the Tecmo Football League would battle today. The Wildcats would put the first points of the game on the board with a passing touchdown. Tecmo Bowl for the arcade, released in 1987, set a basis for a classic on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Tecmo Bowl released on the NES on February 1, 1989.
Ready, down, hut.
They actually contain real player names, thanks to Tecmo acquiring the NFL PA license. Unfortunately, it did not have the NFL license to get real team names. That had been given to LJN's NFL from the Nintendo Entertainment System. In turn, that game lacked the NFLPA license.
This game is so slow. Hopefully that pass will get there while I'm still young.
Luckily, Tecmo Super Bowl for the Nintendo Entertainment System would have both licenses. It would receive a December 1991 release. In 1993, Tecmo Super Bowl would get releases on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. This was after Tecmo Bowl's release in September 1991 on the Game Boy. Sequels would follow, and the Sony PlayStation would get the final Tecmo Bowl game with the NFL and NFLPA licenses in 1996. Tecmo Bowl Kickoff for the Nintendo DS and Tecmo Bowl Throwback for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 would follow years later. Since I reviewed Super High Impact Football on the Super Nintendo, I will take on the Sega Genesis version of Tecmo Super Bowl. Go on the turf, strap your helmet on, and get ready. You ready for some Tecmo football?
This guy is ready.
As I review this action-packed Sega version of the classic. Now I'd like to bring in former SEGSN announcer Toby the Mind Keenan to give a summary of info on this game.
Hello, humanoids.
It's fun, it's competitive, it's real football! Tecmo Super Bowl is unquestionably the best football game you'll ever play. Use your favorite NFL team, the real NFL players, and your football skills to experience the ultimate in football. Use your knowledge of football and game playing skills to take your favorite NFL team of real NFL players through the football season and win the Super Bowl. Features for 1 or 2 players, all 28 NFL teams, 3-year schedule, 18 weeks each, team player stats and data, coach mode, you call the plays, player substitutions, weekly standings, save game results, new cinema screens, touchbacks, play tournament style, period length, die play. I like that the instruction booklet has descriptions of teams. Let's bring in Toby the Mind Keenan one more time to read the description on my favorite team. Bring on Patriots! Wide receiver Greg McMurphy and tight end Mark Cook are big targets who will go over the middle and make the tough catch. Running backs Leonard Russell and John Vaughn have deceptive speed and are tough to bring down in the open field. Linebackers Vincent Brown and Andre Tippett are an instinctive pair of hitters that hustle from sideline to sideline in pursuit of ball carriers.
Fun fact, Washington's logo had been an Indian chief since 1971. It was designed by Native American Walter Blackie Wetzell to depict a member of the Blackfeet tribe. So they kicked the Indian off the helmet. Huh. By the way, I'll never know this team as the Washington Commanders, which their name was changed to for stupid reasons. But anyway, I'll always remember them as the Washington Redskins. So let's go ahead and sing it, folks. Sing it with me. Hail to the Redskins, hail victory, Braves on the warpath, fight for old DC. Don't get me started on this Kansas City Chiefs calling their fan base the Chiefs Kingdom. That doesn't make any sense.
Just like the other versions, you got your preseason mode. Other modes include regular season game. This is an 18-week season, reflecting 3 seasons in the NFL schedule. You can play Pro Bowl game. This was a time when the Pro Bowl mattered. It didn't have a moron commissioner who turned it into a flag football game and a total joke.
Another option available is to choose your own All-Star theme for the Pro Bowl. You don't have to use the default AFC and NFC themes. When you choose a Pro Bowl or preseason game, press the A or C button and the quarter-length window will appear. Go down to the Select Weather option after opening up the menu, and you can choose if you want a fair, snowy, or rainy game. When it comes to the regular season, selecting weather is not an option. The weather conditions are determined by the season, by region probability of rain or snow. Wet northern areas have a higher probability. Dry southern areas are likely to have nice weather, for example. When playing in rain or snow, the player you're controlling could slip and foul. For stat junkies, this game, like the other ports, keeps track of plenty of stats, and for 3 seasons worth in regular season modes. Offensive, defensive, and special teams, everything is here. The previous football game I reviewed didn't have much in the way of stats. This game also contains injuries and substitutions. During any mode, when an injury happens, a cutscene featuring eerie music with a dead-looking player taken out on a stretcher happens. In season mode, when an injured player gets healthy during the course of a season, you see a happy cutscene of him running out of the hospital. During the season, you can choose any teams you want as player, coach, or computer. You can skip games too. The standings can be checked anytime. Even keeps track of winning percentage, total points scored, and total points given up. The graphics are basically a 16-bit upgrade of the NES version. That's good enough for me. The cutscenes are great. The graphical upgrade enhances the football experience. Great cutscenes are a staple of Tecmo games. It works so good for a sports game, especially a football game. version of Tecmo Super Bowl has all the cool sounds of other versions, but a whole new set of in-game music. Super Nintendo's in-game soundtrack was a 16-bit version of the NES Tecmo Super Bowl soundtrack. This Genesis/Mega Drive version has a good soundtrack of its own. Which soundtrack is better is subjective. While the SNES and NES versions have offensive and defensive tracks for one player and computer, etc., a pair each for preseason, season, playoffs, and Super Bowl, this version plays all its tracks for any game. Each play is one of all the in-game soundtracks, no matter what. Offense is just as fun as it was before. How it runs depends on things like player's condition, which is described in 5 levels. You have 8 plays to choose from. You can also substitute play patterns. Every playbook contains 4 running plays and 4 passing plays. Use the D button to select the play category. D button plus A button for passing plays. D button plus B button for running plays. D button plus C button for a guide play. Simple and fun. A or C for the strategy window. 3 timeouts a half, like in real football. A or C to snap the ball. A or C to choose a receiver after the snap. B to pass to the receiver. The higher the quarterback's pass control, the higher chance the ball goes where it's intended. Press the A or C button repeatedly to knock away defensive players trying to make a tackle. High plays can be a convenient way to gain yards. Or it could be a bad call. As for controlling the defense, it's a rock, paper, scissors game of guessing which play the offense will call. The right guess sends an out blitz. Press the B button to make a diving tackle. Press the A or C button repeatedly to shake off a player who was grabbed onto you. A or B button to choose your defensive player before the snap. A or C button repeatedly to knock down a player on the other team. A or C to kick off. The fuller the meter, the farther the ball goes. Kick the ball when the meter is in the blue to perform an onside kick. If your returner catches the ball in the end zone, you can take a chance and run it back. Or play it safe and press the B button to take a knee for a touchback and start at the 20-yard line. As for challenge, that depends on which team you choose. The Patriots at this time are going to have a much tougher time than the Bills in this game. The best challenge is against the France. As far as negatives, let's talk about them. The music, though good, how the tracks are used in any game. This takes away the uniqueness of a playoff game compared to a season game. The other 2 ports have specific tracks for one player and computer, for exhibition, playoff, season, etc. Hearing the whole soundtrack in one game instead of a season playthrough. No specific home and visitor jerseys. Saying home jersey versus home jersey is a little weird. No logos in the end zone, which the Super Nintendo had. Little details and weather missing. When you play the Super Bowl, the halftime show is the only indicator you're playing in the Super Bowl. It's a cool halftime show at least. Basically, graphical details and music details are the negatives of this game. The gameplay is excellent, just as good as the Super Nintendo version. It's subjective which has better gameplay. Some people prefer either the Genesis or they prefer the Super Nintendo controller. I like both controllers equally. Some missing graphical details is the fact that seasoned games don't feel special due to the same music being used to take this version down a notch. It's still a really fun football experience on its own. I give this an 8 out of 10. Really good. It's good.
Game over. Thank you for watching.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Erbac's game. Game start. Mr. Erbac's retro classic video game review.
Atari Inc., an American video game developer and home computer company founded in 1972 by Ted Dabney and Nolan Bushnell. Atari is an icon and instrumental to the arcade and video game industry. Atari was formed to make arcade games and would bring the simple classic Pong to arcades the same year they formed. They would also bring home versions of Pong. Fast forward to 1979 arcades. The iconic Asteroids would be released by Atari in North America, November 1979, Europe the same year, and in Japan, January 1980. Asteroids Deluxe would be released in the arcades in April 1981, a significantly more difficult sequel. This would be followed by Space Duel in 1982. In this one, the asteroids would be replaced by colorful geometric shapes, spinning pinwheels, diamonds, and cubes. It also added two-player cooperative gameplay. A couple episodes ago, I reviewed ice hockey on the Atari 2600. That was like a hockey version of Pong, by the way. This time I will review an arcade quarter Asteroids on the Atari 2600. So grab your one-button joystick
And get in your spaceship.
as I review this arcade port of a classic shooter. Let's look at the instruction book for the inside story of this simple game. Cosmic Space Patrol. On a quiet, serene evening, the Cosmic Space Patrol sets out for the usual night cruise through the boulevards of space. This beat was always the same. Calm, no action, and no excitement. For some reason, this night was different. Shortly before 0200 hours, some form of intergalactic material is sighted through the visual counter. The material is too large a mass to measure. It's drifting closer. Look out! It's a giant asteroid boulder and it's headed straight for the cosmic spacecraft. The only chance for survival is to dodge the boulder or destroy it. Destroying it doesn't mean just breaking it up. It means vaporizing it. Small asteroid boulders are equally as fatal as large ones. Whew! The boulder just missed colliding with the cosmic spacecraft, but suddenly the Cosmic Space Patrol find themselves surrounded by thousands of the deadly asteroids. The Cosmic Space Patrol must act quickly to save their spacecraft and spare their lives. The spacecraft is equipped with photon torpedoes, hyperspace, shields, and flip control. The Cosmic Space Patrol is highly trained to handle this situation. Could you do as good a job as the Cosmic Space Patrol? How would you protect yourself if you were caught in a deadly asteroid belt? This is your big chance to fly through the dimensions of space and fend against the asteroid boulders. The longer you survive, the more space has at your encounter. So as is normal with Atari 2600 games, you can get started immediately. You can select between two difficulties, A and B. Set it to A for a true challenge. The satellites and UFOs do not appear in Mode B. The classic arcade way, no matter how good you perform, there is no end in sight. The only end is death. Achieving the highest score you can is your only option. You start off in the middle of the screen with lines of asteroids moving down and up on both sides of the screen. You press the little red button to shoot them, and they break into medium-sized rocks, which get shot again will be small rocks and can be destroyed. You get more points for the smaller pieces. There's more to this game than it appears. In fact, you have the option of a slow or fast mode. You can also choose which special ability you want for your ship, hyperspace ability or the shield. The other option is how many points it takes to get a 1-up. There are 66 versions of this game on this little cartridge total. Let's talk about the graphics. Are they any better or worse than the arcade original? Yes, the arcade hardware is more powerful, but that still might be subjective because it depends. Do you prefer white lines with no color asteroids or asteroids and UFOs that are every color of the rainbow? The Atari 2600 was not capable of the vector graphics of the arcade, but I prefer the colorful graphics of the home port. The team behind this game did the best job they could with what they had. The sound is what you'd expect. Nice variation between shooting, UFOs, and explosions. Very basic. The music, though repetitive, I never tire of it. It helps with the tension of the game despite only being 2 notes repeated over and over, especially when the music speeds up as circumstances change. The music sounds similar to the theme from the movie John. There isn't much to this game than shooting everything in the sight line. Pushing up on the joystick thrusts the ship forward. The harder you push, the harder it moves, making it harder to slow down. Be careful, moving the joystick left or right to rotate the ship. Pulling the joystick down activates whatever special feature you chose for the spaceship. Hyperspace, which teleports you to another part of the screen. Shields, which is good for the rocks you can't dodge, but don't hold it more than 2 seconds. That can destroy your ship. The third option is flip. Flip your ship 180 degrees, or you can choose to have no special feature at all.
The Atari 2600 controller hasn't aged as good as the NES controller.
You didn't see a replica Atari controller on the Nintendo Switch. Well, obviously the little red button is for shooting. Though this game is action-packed and depends on hand-eye coordination. The button doesn't fire as quickly as you might think. Don't tire yourself out tapping that little button like crazy. No auto fire either. The sensitivity factor for moving the triangle spaceship is really good. Let's highlight the negatives. The graphics are as basic as possible. The ship is a triangle and the asteroids are misshaped rainbow-colored objects. The 2-note music might get annoying and repetitive for some. The unpredictability of the hyperspace feature is annoying. Can't fire as quick as you'd like. Response time for firing slightly slow. That could be blamed on the joystick. As is normal with Atari's 2600 games, the story is non-existent besides the instruction booklet. No ending in sight. Get the highest score until you die. That's it. I'm surprised I spent this much time on this review. Obviously, you won't play this game for its graphics. The fun is in the action-packed gameplay. Though it features 66 ways to play, every screen is the same, so it leaves much to be desired and is very fun for a short time. That's why Atari 2600 games like this are best to buy in a compilation unless you're a collector. It's fun in short bursts, but gets old quickly. I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Game over.
Wait, one more thing. This is an Asteroids 2-parter. Next episode I will be reviewing Asteroids for the upgraded Atari console, the Atari 7800.
Game over. Thank you for watching. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Erbac's Gaming. Game start. Mr. Erbac's Retro Classic Video Game Review.
Last episode was part 1 of a 2-part Asteroid special. I reviewed the archaic Atari 2600 version of Asteroids. I thought I'd review the 5200 version, but that wasn't released until it was finished for later Atari collections. It was supposed to be a launch title and was a port of the Atari 400-800 version. Let's fly into the Atari 7800 version of Asteroids. Though the opening screen of Asteroids says 1984, this game actually came out during the summer of 1986.
The original intention was for the Atari 7800 to come out in the fall of 1984. The selling of Atari's home division by Warner to the Trammell family delayed the console because of a money dispute, of course. And getting your spaceship.
Again, as I review this 7800 port of the arcade classic. Let's look inside the instruction booklet to see if there's a different story to this version of Asteroids. I doubt it. Asteroids plunge at you, trapped in a gigantic cloud of asteroids. Your struggling spaceship hurls towards its doom. You'll have to pulverize all the asteroids with your photon cannon to save your ship and your life. Rubble from an exploding asteroid bounces off your ship's hull. A glowing blur flashes across your viewing screen, so that's where the rubble came from. The asteroid was blasted by an alien robot saucer. Alien robot saucers are also trapped in the asteroid cloud, and they fire at random. You know what the metal in your ship's hull will register on the target finders before the asteroids do. The saucers could be a worse danger than the asteroids. More rubble strikes your ship. Its hull rings like a bell. If you don't get busy, that could be your death knell. Like the Atari 2600 version, you can get started immediately, but you don't have to deal with dip switches. Instead, you can select your options from your controller at the menu. Once again, as with the 2600, this continues the classic arcade way. No matter how good you perform, there's no end. You cannot skate around death. Your only goal is to survive as long as you can to achieve the highest score. Once again, you start out in the middle of the screen, but the asteroids are moving in a different trajectory. They move around more like the arcade version. The realism factor has gone up with the upgraded Atari system. The name of the game is the same. Press the red button on a different controller to shoot these pesky rocks, breaking them down into smaller pieces. The smaller the pieces, the more points you get. Though this game is an upgrade, the options I mentioned are fewer than the 2600 version. There are not 66 versions of this game, though I don't think 66 versions are necessary. Like the 2600 version, if you choose the easiest difficulty, Novice, in this version, there will be no saucers to fight off. There were satellites and UFOs in that version. The other difficulty options are Intermediate, Advanced, and Expert. As far as modes of play, aside from the standard one-player game, you can play a standard two-player game where both players alternate after a death with the second player captaining a blue ship. This game also features 2 additional two-player games. Competition Asteroids, where your ship is vulnerable to the other player's shot, Or Team Asteroids, where your photon shots don't hurt the other player. There are several options not available in this version that were in the 2600 version. Choosing when you get an extra life is not a choice here. You get an extra life when earning 10,000 points. The hyperspace feature is back. But no option to choose the shield or flip mode options. It's unfortunate these options are gone, but you gain 2 extra 2-player games at least. Let's talk about the obviously much improved graphics. While the 2600 version was a blocky rainbow mess, the asteroids here are clearly asteroids with nice colored texture and craters. The nicely lit graphics have stars in the background and allow for a distinct look between asteroids and saucers. The ship is barely more distinct from its predecessor. There's 2 different colored ones now. I feel the graphics are better than the 2600 and arcade games, thanks to the detail and the color. The sound is once again basic, but effective. A little bit better than the 2600 version. The saucer emits sounds that sound straight out of a science fiction movie. That classic Jaws-like theme is there repeating its 2 notes, but I like its simplicity and intensity. The gameplay is a little different in this version of Asteroids. The arcade used buttons only, the 2600 used 1 button and joystick, while here is the Atari 7800 controller. It's a little awkward with the side buttons. Anyways, this Asteroids can use both buttons. Once again, there is no auto fire. Just like before, pulling back on the stick warps you to hyperspace. Watch out! You can be warped back at any time, or the warp could destroy your ship. I recommend finding a controller that plays more like the NES controller. They're out there. Or play it on a good collection where you have a good controller to use. I must also mention, the controller, it's kind of cool looking, but this stick on this, it's a little too stiff. It's not as flexible as the joystick from the 2600 controller. If you have your old Atari 2600 controller, you can use that if you want, instead of this. Let's highlight the negatives. Graphics are nice, though a little grainy. Not a big complaint. The scoring options aren't there. That's a small complaint, but we'll put it here. Hyperspace is the only option in this time. The 2600 gave you a shield option or flip mode. Speaking of hyperspace, if you didn't like the unpredictability of the feature, too bad. You're stuck with it. You don't have to use it, though. You can succeed without it. There's no auto fire. That could have helped if you're using an original 7800 controller. No story except for the instruction manual. No ending. Get the highest score until you die once again. Speaking of high scores, it would have been nice to have a high score save integrated into the cartridge. Arm can hurt after too much usage of the 7800 controller. But that can be fixed, of course, with getting another controller. This is a nice version of Asteroids. The graphics are not as sharp as the arcade version, but are so much more detailed and colorful. I would recommend buying a better controller that's available. There are ones shaped like an NES controller. Even though there are less modes in this version than the 2600 version, this is a better game. 2-player mode extends replayability. At the same time, there's not much more here than a classic score until you die game. I'll put this 1 point higher than the 2600 version. A 6.5 out of 10.
Game over. Thank you for watching. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Erbac's Gaming. Game start. Mr. Erbac's Retro Classic Video Game Review.
Two seasons ago, I reviewed Batman the video game for the Sega Genesis, based on the 1989 blockbuster Batman, which of course was based on the DC Comics iconic character. The last two Christmas seasons, I reviewed a Batman Returns video game, which of course were based on the sequel to Batman.
Two driving sections are a fun break from the normal beat-em-up action. The graphics are very good. Batman is large and detailed, and he is...
This time I will go back in time to Batman the video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Batman was everywhere in 1989 through the early 90s, especially in video game toy form. Batman took 2 years after the movie came out to appear on the Sega Genesis in the US and Canada.
This was due to the exclusivity contract that Sunsoft and other companies had with Nintendo of America. When it expired, Batman was able to be released on Sega Genesis.
Speaking of Nintendo of America, Batman the video game was released in North America on February 2nd, 1990. It was released in Japan on December 22nd, 1989. Europe got a September 14th, 1990 release. Remember, the movie came out in American theaters on June 23rd, 1989, and VHS on November 15th, 1989, so it's still fresh on people's minds. It's bad enough the Clown Prince of Crime and Batman's most prominent villain would show up to add to the crime-ridden Gotham City.
If you watch my last 3 Batman video game reviews, you already know that the world's greatest detective has to deal with plenty of lesser-known criminals with a price on his head.
Sir, may I come in?
Come in.
There's letters here.
Let him in.
What's up, man? I'm calling for the slicer.
I
understand you're an expert with blades. You bagged and tagged a lot of men during your tour of duty and liked it a little too much.
Yeah, you got that right. They call me the slicer, man. 'Cause I'm down for the grease. I'm down for the slice.
Is that right? Good. I need killers. You want to grease someone? You grease the bat, and you'll get a nice bonus. My weapons dealer will supply you with the finest titanium blades. Welcome to the team.
All right.
Sir, may I come in?
Come in.
Sir, your weapon dealer is on the phone.
Yo.
As you know, the last strike team failed their mission. I'm meeting you. I'm leading the strike team myself.
Right on.
1,300 hours.
That's 1,200 hours.
Done. 1,200 is good.
Don't be late. I got places to be and people to see. They better not be late. We're gonna get rid of this phone and then made too many calls on it.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Let me remind you, this game is not an 8-bit version of the Sega version.
Well, the NES version played like the NES version of Ninja Gaiden, featuring wall jumps, more weapons, advanced the gameplay. This Batman game fittingly plays like the Revenge of Shinobi, ditching the wall jump for a double jump instead, and it similarly moves at a slower pace.
The funny thing is, the Sega Genesis game box had screenshots from the NES version. Who made that colossal mistake? While that game played more like the Revenge of Shinobi, this version plays like Ninja Gaiden. That version was slower and featured a double jump. This game is faster paced and features a wall jump. What's crazy is the Game Boy version is a run and gun shooter / platformer. So grab your NES controller and your Batarang as I review this bat-tastic action platformer. The instruction booklet lays out the game story, loosely based on the movie. Game story. The citizens of Gotham City are busy planning the city's 200th anniversary festival, but there's not much to celebrate. Crime and violence rule the city. The only man who can free the city from the Joker's evil clutches is the one and only Batman. With your help, the Cape Crusader can defeat the Joker and save the good people of Gotham City. Batman is armed with special weapons and acrobatic strength. He must destroy 15 different types of enemies and 5 bosses, while traveling through 5 stages. Finally, Batman comes face to face with the Joker. But who will prevail? It's up to you. The parts of the plot taken from the movie are shown in cool cutscenes. It probably helps if you've seen the movie, because the cutscenes don't give much context, aside from the intro. Batman has a basic punch, but it's fast. Press B to punch. Tap A to jump. Press and hold A for a high jump. Press A again after jumping against the wild jump. If you're good enough, you can get through the game without using any of Batman's weapons. But why wouldn't you want to use Batman's wonderful toys? While the select button pauses the game, Start selects the weapon. Why they made that decision? I don't know. It's a small drawback. Anyways, you press B to shoot these weapons. The spear gun, the dirk, and the iconic batarang. The one weapon shared with the Genesis version. Obviously, the Genesis version's batarangs have more range than the NES version. Batman has 3 lives in this game, and a life bar, or power life, that has 8 increments. Unlike the Genesis version, you have unlimited continues in this game. Another element shared with Ninja Gaiden. And like that, tough game, you'll need them, as this game is pretty tough. Son of a mother! Make you want to throw your controller like a batarang.
What have you done?
Because this game is difficult, you'll want to grab these bad items. They appear when you defeat a certain enemy. That's different from an action platformer like Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania. The bonus item adds to your score. Pellet item adds 10 pellets to Batman's weapons. Remember, Batman can run out of ammo or weaponry. The hot item replenishes 1 increment of Batman's life power. This Batman adventure features 5 stages of action-packed goodness. 3 of them do a good job recreating the atmosphere of the movie it's based on. The others are totally original to the game. You have Gotham City, Axis Chemical Factory, Underground Conduit, Laboratory Rooms, and finally, the Cathedral. Here's a summary of stage objectives. Each level has an end boss. The final level having 2 end bosses. Of course, the Joker is the final boss, but 3 other bosses not from the movie are based on DC comic book villains from Batman's Rogues Gallery. Killer Moth, the Electrocutioner, and Firebug, who is actually the final boss in the prototype version. In this version, you have to take on a difficult Joker that not only has his big gun from the movie, but can summon lightning strikes. This after fighting Firebug at the top of the cathedral. Luckily, the fight with Firebug will be skipped in the continued play if you reach the Joker previously. So if you have to start the final stage over, you can at least fight the Joker next time directly and not have to deal with the Firebug again. Other enemies based on DC Comics villains include KG Beast, Deadshot, Maxi Zeus, Shakedown, Heatwave, normally a Flash villain, Night Slayer, and Javelin, normally a Green Lantern villain. The graphics are great for an NES era game, even though Batman has a purple in-game sprite. This decision was probably so Batman could stand up in the backgrounds, some of which have pitch black areas. The Genesis version was able to have Batman with the right color because of it being a 16-bit system with a 512 color palette, able to produce 61 colors on screen. The NES could display 25 colors at once, 54 colors in total. The flow of his cape is a nice touch. Not sure why Joker, who has special powers not even seen in the comics, is also a giant in this game. His face on the screens is also a nice touch. The cutscenes are nice looking as well. The death sequence is cool as well, because if you notice, he fades into the bat symbol. The sounds of this game are standard NES fare, with no voice samples or grunts. It sounds like a tear when Batman gets hit. Even though there is no music from the movie, the music sets a brooding tone. It's very Batman-style music, and it's fantastic. The composer, Naoki Kodaka, who also did the Sega Genesis version, makes the most of the NES sound capabilities. I should also mention you can hear the billow from Batman's cape, which is cool. The gameplay is really tight and responsive here. Batman kneels before leaping and drifts when leaping, which makes this game feel like you're really controlling Batman. The wild jumping mechanic showcases Batman's Olympic-level agility from the comics and works great, and it's easy to pull off. Cycling through weapons can throw you off during gameplay. Okay, let's look at the negatives. Batman has a purple sprite. Maybe they could have chosen gray at least. Difficulty level ramps up quickly. And if you don't have the enemy patterns down, like some bosses figured out, then speed will kill you quick. Speaking of that, compared to some enemies, Batman is like a sloth versus the Flash. Or Batman versus Superman. Faster bosses will take trial and error. Batman's sprite is small compared to Joker. Maybe the developers simply wanted for all bosses to look big and intimidating? Select should be for selecting weapons. Start could be for pausing. These are reversed here. Controls are slow and heavy compared to Ninja Gaiden. It's really subjective if that should be seen as a negative though. Gotta get used to it. The game is a little short once you get good enough at it. An extra stage could have helped. Maybe a Batmobile stage? No difficulty option. And this game can get aggravating. Most 8-bit licensed games were terrible. This game, by far, is one of the best movie and comic adaptations. This is my favorite Batman game. Despite a purple sprite, it still looks like Batman with nice detail. Despite room for improvement, the gameplay combined with the epic music and it being set to a great comic book movie makes it a classic that's fun to remember and come back to once in a while. Batman can feel like an ordinary human versus superhumans at times, but a little trial and error with help from very responsive controls can negate that and make this a very fun Batman experience. I give this an 8.5 out of 10.
Game over.
Wait, one more thing. With Batman's return to cinemas, as of this year that this video has been released, I will review the sequel to Batman the video game on the NES. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Game over. Thank you for watching.
Action. I understand you're an expert with blades. You bagged a lot.
Oh my god.
That's for real?
Come on.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Erbac's Gaming. Game start. Mr. Erbac's Retro Classic Video Game Review.
Last episode, I reviewed a great Batman game based on Batman starring Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. Sunsoft would develop a sequel to the acclaimed game, but though it was a sequel, it's not based on any Batman movie. Batman, Return of the Joker. This Batman game, though based on the comics, doesn't seem to be based on any particular Batman comic. It's an original story created by Sunsoft. In fact, Batman uses a gun in this game, something he isn't known for. In the very early days, he used handguns, but that's a blip on the radar in Batman's rich history. By the way, interesting to see this Beetlejuice game ad in this Batman comic. Tim Burton directed Michael Keaton in the movie, leading to him getting casted as Batman. After Batman producer John Peters suggested it to Burton after Keaton's dramatic performance in Clean and Sober, where he showed an edgy, tormented quality that Bruce Wayne / Batman has.
Be careful.
Batman Return of the Joker is a title on the Game Boy as well. But like Batman on Game Boy, it's not a port, and a very different game. This game was released May 1992 in the US. The version I'm reviewing was released December 1991, just in time for Christmas. It was released 1992 in other countries. Speaking of DC Comics adaptations on Game Boy, the Batman's fellow Justice Leaguer, The Flash, would even get his own game, based on the Flash TV series. The Flash on the Sega Master System, that would not arrive in America. The Flash's luck ran out on that one. It plays like Sonic the Hedgehog. That makes sense.
know it's bad enough the Joker has cheated death and returned to Gotham City.
Where Batman already has to deal with plenty of criminals like me with a price in his head.
So once again, grab your Batarang and your NES controller. Actually, grab a gun too this time and stick the Batarang in your utility belt as I continue the Batmania and review this unconventional Batman game. This instruction manual lays out the game's story. I'm Batman. Here's the game story. Precious metals are mysteriously missing from Gotham City mines. One of these metals is a highly toxic composition, which is used to build explosives for missiles. Gotham City police have exhausted the resources and frantically called a Batman for help. He knows this scheme can only be the insane workings of one criminal mastermind. The Joker has returned. Batman must follow the trail leading to the location of the Joker's secret hideaway before it's too late. It won't be easy, though. The Caped Crusader must use his new arsenal of weapons to foil the Joker's evil henchmen and rely on his acrobatic strength and wit to overcome the obstacles that block his way. Gotham City is relying on you to stop the return of the Joker. Years ago, this game was briefly covered by a guy I know personally named Stephen S. He covered it on an episode of Stephen S. Plays, Pistol Shooting Game.
Stephen S. Plays Pistol Shooting Games.
In this game, the Batman trades in his purple sprite for a blue sprite.
Batman doesn't use a pistol in this game. He has a gun attached to one of the gauntlets on his wrist.
Erbac, I think I made it crystal clear in the video. Stephen S. Plays Pistol Shooting Games that Batman Return of the Joker in particular is not a pistol shooting game, but it is a shooting game, and I wanted an excuse just to put it in there as part of the 3 games that I played. So that's good enough, okay? Give me a break.
When you look at the game's opening cutscene and title screen, it's apparent this game combines the look of both Batman the movie and the comic book Batman. Batman's suit and vehicles are based off the movie. While Joker is ripped from the comics and bears no resemblance to Jack Nicholson. When you start to play this game, it's clear Sunsoft was thinking of combining Batman with Mega Man. That seems to be the idea here. So unlike the previous game, you'll be using a weapon to get through the game. There's no basic punching here, or kicking. Notice in this game, the first stage is the Cathedral, the same place where Batman has the final showdown with Joker in the first game. Let's talk about attack methods in this game. You have 4 different types of wrist projector ammunition, each represented by a letter. The crossbow, the sonic neutralizer, the iconic Batarang, and the shield star. Notice the Batarang resembles the Batarang from the first game. The Sega game's version had a Batarang that looked exactly like the movie version. Batman also has a slide attack in this game, similar to when Mega Man gained a slide attack. Press down and the A button simultaneously in the direction he is facing. It won't work on all enemies. Press the B button to use your wrist projector. You can also press and hold up to aim weapon upward. This game, unlike the previous game, uses start to pause the game, not select. Now you corrected that. Once again, Batman has 3 power lives like previously. Some with the life bar, 8 increments once again. You'll have unlimited continues, and you'll need them, even more so in this very tough game. Ah! Come on! And since the game is so tough and unfair at times, they give you a password system too. Pause the game to check password and number of lives. Because this game is difficult, you'll want to grab these backpack energy capsules. Collect 8 of these for invincible energy. The invincibility doesn't last long though. Once you've collected all 8, hold down the B button for a period of time. This Batman adventure features 7 stages of action-packed goodness. Gotham City Cathedral, the Joker's Warehouse, Snow Mountain, Refinery, Underground Conduit, Ammunition Base, Island of Hacienda. 5 of the stages have an end boss. The final boss is of course the Joker again. The other bosses don't seem to even have a name. At least the previous game gave us 4 bosses based on Batman villains, not just one. Being that this game is based on a comic, that's a missed opportunity. Graphics. As good as it gets on the Nintendo Entertainment System, this is one heck of a technical accomplishment. The backgrounds are very detailed. The scrolling is at least 3 layers deep. Outside of its limited color palette, this could have passed for an early 16-bit system game. Batman's sprite is bigger, with smooth animation and better detailed. The blue color is better than purple. With all that graphical power, the NES can only handle so much, so it comes with heavy flickering, and the bigger sprites only allow for 2 enemies at a time on screen. Sound. The sounds of the game, like the first game, are standard fare. No voice or grunts. The music is the highlight, once again. While I like the first game's music better overall, this game is quite an awesome soundtrack itself. Gameplay. The original could be brutal, but the precise controls made it feel fair. This game's controls are slightly sloppier, and that can lead to cheap hits and fouls. What the? I'm gonna throw this controller like a batarang! And there are no healing items. That's not to say the controls are bad, but the gameplay is a step down from the first game. Boss battles aren't as fun, but at least you can see how close you are to defeating them, with his damage meter showing. Good luck beating the Joker using your default weapon. It's gonna take you forever. The flying stages are a nice break from the norm of fighting a boss. These paths remind me of Variety Fighter from the NES. Let's look at the negatives. Graphics that push the system to its limits, it leads to more flickering. Bigger sprites lead to less enemies on screen at once. 2 here. Unfair difficulty at times. Controls a little sloppy. No healing items. Feels confined compared to the first game, especially with less freedom of movement. No cutscenes between stages. No story, except the instruction booklet. So basically no story in-game. Nothing to tell us why Batman is here. Could have at least put in some text. What's in the booklet tells you very little. It's a real tease to show the Batmobile and the Batwing, but not have those as in-game stages. This is the 5th Batman game I've reviewed so far. I would say it's on par with Batman the video game on Sega Genesis. But I enjoyed that one more. It's not really a better game than this, but it played more like a Batman game. That being said, this should still be part of any Batman fan's collection. It's not great, but it's good. Same score as Batman the video game for Sega Genesis. A 7 out of 10.
Game over. Thank you for watching. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Erbac's Gaming. Game start. Mr. Erbac's Retro Classic Video Game Review.
way back when I relaunched and renamed this series, going from a series of shorts to an episodic series, I reviewed Burning Fight for Neo Geo in episode 1, a Final Fight knockoff, but a good one.
As you can see by the character select screen, this game was heavily inspired by Final Fight, as this was created during the heyday of other beat-em-ups, Final Fight in particular. You had Cody, the balanced character.
Before that, way back, Stephen S. showcased a couple of ports of Final Fight. Final Fight and Final Fight Guy, both for the Super Nintendo.
Stephen S. played Final Fight and Final Fight Guy. Let's look at Final Fight for the Super NES. Let's look at Final Fight Guy for the Super NES. You're back. Thanks for the shout out.
Final Fight was released by Capcom for arcades in 1989. It was originally supposed to be a follow-up to Street Fighter, and it was titled Street Fighter 89. Luckily, it was renamed, and we got Street Fighter 2 as a sequel instead, with Final Fight being a part of the same universe as evidenced by character appearances in Street Fighter. Final Fight 2 even had an appearance from Chun-Li. Anyways, Final Fight was a massive success. Naturally, it would get ports. ZX Spectrum, Sharp X68000, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, Super Nintendo, Atari ST, Amiga, and Sega CD. This quarter-munching classic was a fun beat-em-up for 1 or 2 players. It greatly upped the ante on graphics compared to the mega hit Double Dragon. It has bigger and more detailed sprites and backgrounds, and better animation.
The most well-known port was the infamous Super Nintendo version. Why was it infamous? Well, because in this port, you could only select from Hager or Cody. You could not select Guy from the arcade. 2 characters, 1 player.
A second version was offered called Final Fight Guy, which replaced Cody with Guy. It was offered as a Blockbuster video exclusive rental in the US. Final Fight was released in Japan for the Super Famicom on December 21st, 1990. The US got its Super Nintendo release September of 1991. Japan got Final Fight Guy March 20th, 1992. In June 1994, the US would get Final Fight Guy as a Blockbuster rental only. Would this be worth another purchase anyway? Let's find out. So grab a 2x4, sword, or whatever you can find on the streets as I review both Final Fight and Final Fight Guy. They're so similar, I can review them both.
Hey, Erbac, you need D's to help Mayor Hagar defeat the Mad Gear Gang.
Thank you, Councilman. Let's go.
Let's look at the story from each instruction booklet. You are now entering Metro City. For years, Metro City has been known as the crime capital of the world. At the heart of the city's crime problem has been the notorious Mad Gear Gang. Each day they tighten their grip on the city. But one man has risen to break the Mad Gear's stranglehold on the city. Mayor Mike Hager, a former street fighter, has vowed to track down and arrest every member of the Mad Gear Gang. When the leader of the Mad Gear Gang learned of Hager's plan, he quickly moved to bring the new mayor under his control. Now, Hager's daughter Jessica is missing, and the Mad Gear Gang have got her. But they've made one mistake. They've made Hager fight mad, and now nothing is going to stop him from getting her back. It's a bare-knuckle brawl, as you bust the heads of any punks that stand in your way. Grab a little extra food to keep up your strength, and with a little luck, you may find the mysterious leader of the Mad Gear Gang. Welcome to Metro City. There's a reason that Metro City is known as the crime capital of the world. Over the years, corruption seeped its way into the very heart of the government and brought the city to its knees. Soon the Mad Gear Gang had the entire city firmly within their grasp, but the corruption is going on for too long, and the citizens are tired of fearing for their lives each time they step foot on the street. They are ready for a change. The new mayor, a former wrestler by the name of Mike Hager, has promised to clean up the city, but the task is much bigger than Hager could possibly know. The Mad Gear Gang is firmly entrenched in all parts of the city, and they refuse to give up their little empires. But the Mad Gear do make mistakes, and unknown to them, they just made the biggest one of their lives. When the Mad Gear Gang found that Hager couldn't be bought, they decided to take the one thing Hager values more than his own life, his daughter Jessica. The Mad Gear were sure that Hager would do anything to get Jessica back, and they were right. But they didn't think he would go on a rampage to take her back and call and help from Guy, Metro City's greatest hero. Hit the streets. It's one man against an entire city, and Guy and Hager are ready to take and bust some heads. Nothing will going to stand in the way of them as they pound the Mad Gear to the ground and search for the headquarters of the elusive leader of the Mad Gear Gang and Jessica. Let's look at the difference in intros in Final Fight and Final Fight Guy. Both games feature the censored version of the arcade game's intro. In the United States, Jessica is actually taken out of the intro, and you only hear her screaming. This was the uncensored version, which makes things even scarier for Jessica and her dad, Mike Hager. Nintendo's censorship policies were in full effect at this time, so no surprise there. The biggest example of censorship of the US ports is the replacing of Roxy and Poison, the two female enemies of Final Fight, with Billy and Sid, two homosexual characters. Religious references are removed as well.
Oh my god!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But I actually like Thrasher and Katana over Damned and Sodom. Who calls himself Damned? And why was he named Sodom when he's into Japanese culture? Maybe it wasn't intended as a Bible reference since it's pronounced Sodom, I think. Not Sodom. But close enough they changed it. So obviously when you start the game, it's only one player on both versions. This port, you select Cody or Hager. This port, you select Guy or Hager. You have your points, which you want to earn for extra lives. Here's your life number. Current high score, strength meter, I call it health meter. The slowest timer ever. You have to try extremely hard to run out of time in this game. Your enemy strength meter is shown here. You have a punch button, press Y. Jump with the B button. Press control pad against the enemy to grab them. Y button to pick up an item. Start the pause. Each character has their own attacks and differences. Hager the wrestler, he's biggest, strongest, and slowest in all versions. They can suplex an enemy or pile drive an enemy when grabbing them or a simple headbutt. Cody is the most balanced character. He also is an expert with knives and can use the knife without throwing it. Guy is the fastest, but weakest character. He has a wild jump as his special ability. Each character has a super move, or desperation move, which does deplete a small amount of energy. Press Y plus B. As you play through these brawlers, you'll want to smash through objects that possibly conceal food items. Bonus point items, or weapons. Notice the beer is missing for obvious reasons. Pick them all up with Y. Get those bonus points for extra lives because you have limited continues. And unlike the arcade, here, you start a level over after using all your lives. This action-packed beat-em-up features 5 action-packed rounds. Wait, the arcade had 6 stages rounds. Capture space issue, it seems? You have the slums, the subway, the west side, the industrial area. No, that's the one that's missing. More on that later. The Bay Area. Leoski? What does that mean? And Uptown. The industrial area from the arcade version is missing, as I mentioned, and with that, a future Street Fighter character, Rolento, the boss of the stage. This flame pot was pretty frustrating. Oh, come on! Every level has an end boss. Thrasher, Katana, Eddie E, Abigail.
He always reminded me of Animal from the Road Warriors.
And Belger. Belger's wheelchair experiences censorship in this. Redrawn to look like an office chair. The biggest omission to Final Fight is the two-player mode. Final Fight Guy also did not correct this. There is fun to be had in these ports. Unfortunately, not with a friend. The next biggest omission is the number of enemies on screen at once. This is a huge difference. The arcade version could have as many as, I don't know, 9 or 10 or something like that. Even so, there's occasional slowdown. So more enemies would have affected performance on this port. I mentioned this when I compared this game in my review of Batman Returns for Super Nintendo. That game had only 3 enemies at a time.
SNES beat 'em ups, you can only fight 3 enemies at a time. This was possibly to prevent slowdown? I don't know.
Super Nintendo just wasn't tough enough to handle more than 3 enemies at screen at once. Graphics. They are quite good, but the cartridge space made for a lot of cuts. Most of the scene transitions were cut out. Also, little details like these strap handles, for example, on the subway, were left out. The sprites here are fantastic and represent the arcade proudly. The animation and backgrounds are sharp. The sprites are big and well animated. I think this enemy's kick was cut though.
Erbac. Is it Simons or Simmons? I'm pretty sure it's Simmons. And the extra M got lost in translation or something.
Sound. The sound is the best part of this game. Standard fare sound effects, voices are good enough, but the music is fantastic. I like the music better than the arcade version. I think the main theme, which you hear in 3 stages, sounds faster and harder. This is the one thing these two ports have an upgrade over the arcade, in my opinion. Gameplay. The gameplay is really good. Both versions have all the character moves from the arcade. If you can get past the occasional slowdown, lack of two-player, and a missing character, it's really fun. Despite the lack of enemies on screen, it still can be challenging because the enemies get up at different times. Plus, you lose our lives, and you start the stage over. The gameplay is tight and responsive. Very good. Let's look at the negatives. No two-player mode. Each port has a missing character. Only 3 enemies can appear on screen at once. Missing a whole stage and boss. Censorship. Including blood, alcohol, and religious references. Occasional slowdown. No option mode. Can only be accessed via cheat code. Ending can only be unlocked by completing the game on hard mode, which can only be accessed via cheat. This applies only to Final Fight Guy, by the way. These are 2 fun brawlers. It's subjective which is better. It really depends if you like Cody or Guy better. Final Fight Guy has slightly less slowdown and 2 new power-ups. A 1-up and a no damage power-up. But these are not enough to warrant a higher score. I gave these 2 Final Fight ports a 7 out of 10. Did you know that Final Fight was heavily influenced by the movie Streets of Fire starring Michael Pear as Tom Cody?
Game over. Thank you for watching. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Erbac's Gaming. Game start. Mr. Erbac's Retro Classic Video Game Review.
Back in the 80s, wrestling was red hot, with territory still hanging around, as well as the AWA. But the big two, you had WCW, which had bought the assets of the National Wrestling Alliance and Jim Crockett Promotions in the late 80s. WCW even got its own game on the NES on December 9th, 1989 in Japan, and April of 1990 in North America.
World Championship Wrestling! Right.
Even so, WCW was a solid number 2 behind WWF and the power of Hulkamania. Speaking of NES wrestling games, WWF WrestleMania had already arrived early in 1989 on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
A while back I reviewed WWF WrestleMania for the NES, a decent first effort by the developers at Rare, published by Acclaim. Check that out! Rare would develop a sequel to WWF WrestleMania, WWF WrestleMania Challenge, published by LJN. I will review this follow-up to WWF WrestleMania on the NES.
The previous game used the tagline from WrestleMania 3, bigger, better, badder. US would get a November of 1990 release, while Japan would have to wait till March 27, 1992. In the previous review, I reviewed 2 ports of an arcade game which had an enemy inspired by Andre the Giant. His name was Andor in those games. Now I'm going to be reviewing a game that has the actual Andre the Giant. Is this game bigger, better, badder, brother? Well, if you really want to find out, dude, you better take these 3 commandments in consideration before you step into the squared circle, brother. Now, train.
Say your prayers and eat your vitamins, brother.
And let's step into the squared circle and find out what you're all about and where you're going, brother.
Well, let me get you up to speed and we can find out, brother, if this game is up to the challenge, dude.
Hey, player, this is Freddie Long, and tonight we're going to see if Mr. Erbac can take on the WrestleMania Challenge.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
What are you going to tell me, player?
It really doesn't matter to me, brother, which of these 2 dudes who get in the ring win that title. Because I'm coming for the championship. I'm coming for the title, brother. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to show all the Erbac maniacs, I'm going to show you the power of Erbac Mania. I'm going to show you where the power lies, brother, and what you're going to do when Erbac Mania runs wild on you.
Okay, player, let's go to Toby the Mind Kingdom with the latest WrestleMania Challenge coverage, player.
Hello, humanoids. This is Toby the Mind Keenan. Are you up to the challenge? Are you ready to take on 8 of the most powerful and formidable wrestlers the world has ever known? Because they're ready to take you on! British Beefcake wants to take you to Dreamland with his sleeper hold, after which you may be faced with a very rude awakening courtesy of ravishing Rick Rude. Big Boss Man and Andre the Giant are ready to hurl their massive bodies into action, while Jacksaw Jim Duggan has more crafty strategies at his disposal than you could shake a 2x4 at. And you won't believe the raw power and muscle behind Mad Superstars, Macho King Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, and Hulk Hogan. No matter which way you play, all the excitement of WWF wrestling will be in your hands. Fly through the air as you deliver a picture-perfect drop kick. Feel the mat tremble as you suplex your opponent to the canvas. Experience the thrill of a victory over one of the WWF's most awesome athletes. Now let's go to Mr. Erbac for a further look at this WrestleMania challenge.
The challenge is waiting. The ring introductions have been made. The sweat is beating up on your forehead. The fans are buzzing in anticipation of the greatest main event in WWF history. You stare across the ring and glare into the eyes of your opponent, who is glaring right back at you. It's going to be a tough match, perhaps the toughest of your career, but you have training, experience, and determination in your corner. You know you're up to the challenge, the WrestleMania challenge. There's the opening bell. Now give it all you've got. First, let's compare this game's intro with its predecessor. The opening graphic has drastically improved, but the music sounds better in WrestleMania's intro. But that's not important. So here are your game modes in this one. 8 exciting ways to wrestle. 1 player versus computer. 8-man tournament. 1-on-1 action. Tag team action. And Survivor Series. Player versus player. You got 1-on-1 action, tag team action, and Survivor Series. The last is 2 player versus computer. Both players join forces to form a team that takes on 4 other supercharged WWF duos. The roster has 3 more wrestlers this time around, with 8 of the 9 total being actual WWF superstars, compared to the previous game's 6 total superstars. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and Randy Savage return. Although Randy has undergone a slight gimmick change, going from the Macho Man Randy Savage to the Macho King Randy Savage. Unfortunately, the Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Honky Tonk Man do not return. They are replaced by Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Ravishing Rick Rude, the Big Boss Man, the Ultimate Warrior, and yourself? No creator wrestler back then, so had to start somewhere. But why did they take away the ability to enter your name? Especially with this generic jobber looking avatar. Once again, like the first game, every wrestler looks distinct and resembles their real-life counterparts. Quite good. Hogan now has his yellow trunks and tan. Andre brings back his giant girth. This game switches the camera view from a normal side perspective to an isometric view. The first game had a brawler feel to it. The ability to leave the ring has been added. The health meter has been set to the apron instead of on top. The A button will make your wrestler throw a punch. Holding down the A button will result in a second kind of attack. The B button can execute a grapple move in front or behind your opponent. Power moves can be executed with A plus B. A plus B can also be used to climb the turnbuckle. A button to jump at an opponent in the ring. B button to jump outside the ring. A button to attack a downed opponent. B button to pin him. Here's what I don't get. Hulk Hogan has his elbow drop, which he did do. He did elbow drops. But his signature move is the big leg drop. So yourself has a leg drop. Brutus Beefcake has a leg drop in this game, but not Hulk Hogan. He does, however, have a drop kick, which he didn't do in the WWF. He does have his big boot, but no leg drop. And how about a double axe handle smash instead of a drop kick? Start button to pause. Defensive wrestling. Pressing A plus B to duck out of the way of a power move. Springing to your feet or breaking out of a sleeper hold requires pressing the left and right arrows repeatedly. If you have enough strength, the same for kicking out of a pin attempt. Leaving the ring requires pressing A plus B while your wrestler is pushing against the ropes. Don't get counted out by failing to answer the 10 count, or in 2 players versus computer, when the player outside the ring leaves your designated area for a 10 count. In the same mode, the illegal partner not leaving the ring for the 10 count gets DQ'd. Forward to run, by the way, on the D-pad. Obviously, the biggest addition to this follow-up is Tag Team Match and Survivor Series Match. Press the select button in your team's corner to tag in your partner. This applies to a Survivor Series match as well. Speaking of Survivor Series, if you're a wrestling fan, or a fan of the Federation days, you know the Survivor Series match doesn't end until all members of the team are eliminated. This is a 3-on-3 team battle. Select plus A plus B and your partner will run in to assist you.
Hello everyone, I am Miss Desiree, your announcer for tonight. I want to bring Mr. Erbac for his comments on the main event.
Well, let me tell you something, Miss Desiree. I'm not gonna come in here and be long-winded, give the Gettysburg Address. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. I don't care which of you 2 jabronis wins that championship match tonight, brother, because you'll be getting in the ring with me next, brother. And when I get you in the middle of that squared circle, I'm gonna beat you up real bad, have you falling at my feet, begging for mercy, saying, "Please, Mr. Erbac, please don't hurt me anymore, brother." And that's when I strike, break you in half, and take my title back, Jack. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Here is the list of moves for all the wrestlers. If you want to enter the tournament, you better know them if you want to take yourself from a total jabroni to the World Heavyweight Champion. In the previous game, only Hulk Hogan could slam Andre the Giant. That was realistic. In this game, all of the wrestlers can slam Andre the Giant. What? For accuracy's sake, only Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior should be able to. They're the only ones in the Federation who actually did this in real life. Andre never let others pick him up, but Hulk and Warrior were main event superstars who were seen as superheroes by many fans. At least Andre has his reverse squash in the corner instead of climbing the turnbuckle. That makes sense. And he can also choke and headbutt, which he did in real life as well. That makes sense. Aside from steel cage matches, I can count the number on my hand of how many times Hulk Hogan went to the top turnbuckle in real life. One time I can think of. In a two-player only tag team championship mode, both players control two yourself characters, each a different shade. And each with different theme music as they vie for the World Tag Team Championship. Graphics. A crowd, floor mats, stairs have been added. The isometric view, not an improvement. The wrestler sprites are smaller and don't look any better. They're okay, but I think overall the bigger sprites of the first game are better. I also prefer the energy meter on top of the screen instead of on the apron, which looks weird. The portraits are pretty good. Although Hogan and Andre's portraits look better in the first game. It's a tie for Macho. In the first game they jumped onto the turnbuckle. Now they climb the turnbuckle post like Spider-Man. Sound. The good news is composer David Wise returns. The sound effects are nothing special, but the music is awesome. Most of the tunes are 8-bit renditions of WWF Superstar themes. Except for Hacksaw, whose theme doesn't sound at all like his actual theme. And Andre, who has a made-up theme since he had no theme when he wrestled. In fact, in the first game, he had Stand Back, which was sung by Vince McMahon, which sounded better than this. Let's compare Hulk's theme. I think it sounded better in the first one. Gameplay. Movement takes a little getting used to at first. I prefer movement in the first game, but this game gives more freedom to exit the ring, and climbing a turnbuckle is easier. There's also some questionable hit detection at times. Moves are slightly easier to pull off than the first game, like body slams. Most characters have their signature moves. There are no health items to pick up in this game. In the first one, you could regain health by grabbing them when available. This game is not as tough as the first one. No angry opponent, and you have multiple continues, whereas the first one was one and done, and you had to start all over. Let's look at the negative. Energy meters put on apron look stupid. I like the WrestleMania logo in the apron as well as the portraits. They give you a made-up generic wrestler as the ninth choice, but you can't enter a name for him, which could have easily been implemented like the first game. In Tag a Survivor Series match, the partners not in the ring stand outside the ring instead of on the ring apron. That's silly. As silly as the goofy celebration of a win. No difficulty options. Once you figure out the occasionally tough AI, you should win no problem.
Stop running, you coward!
Jumping in and out of the ring is usually not responsive.
Why won't you get out of the ring? Get out of the ring!
So I had to climb the turnbuckle to answer the 10 count. Occasional shoddy hit detection. Some wrestlers have their finisher and they look great, but some are missing theirs. Hulk's moveset not having his leg drop, yet he has a Hulkster splash and drop kick, which he never did either of those. Bossman Splash belongs to the Warrior. At least Warrior has his Gorilla Press, though it can be unfair to your opponent. No Bossman Slam, by the way. Jim Duggan's theme sounds nothing like his actual theme. At least he has his finisher, though. It would be nice to go through tournament mode, not having to use yourself, and no real ending. At least the first game showed the World Championship you won. This game shows you nothing. You know what? I changed my mind about what I said about yourself. I mean, this guy's a surefire Hall of Fame. Why is he not in the WWE Hall of Fame? I mean, who else can say that they beat this roster of legends right here, especially in a single tournament? He's a legend. Despite its flaws, this game is pretty good for an NES wrestling game.
Ooh, yeah! Dig it!
And pretty good for a game published by the infamous LJN, a toy company bought out by Acclaim Entertainment in 1990. LJN published a lot of terrible games. This is the peak of WWF games on NES. It gets worse from here.
Good thing about both these games, you got the Macho Man Randy Savage in this one. You got the Macho King Randy Savage in this one. Get them both!
I'll give it a slightly higher rating due to the added modes and bigger roster. It feels less confined due to being able to exit the ring. A 7 out of 10. Another good effort from developer Rare.
I got one last thing to say about this game. Oh yeah, I like it. Now pop this into your Nintendo Entertainment System. Find out if you're macho enough to take the WrestleMania challenge. And step into it.
Hey, this is Kris. Thank you for watching this coverage of the WrestleMania Challenge. Tune in to Sports Circle for other sports updates.
Did you know Sting and the Ultimate Warrior and the UWF were a tag team known as the Blade Runners? The same year of WrestleMania Challenge's release, Sting won his first world title from Ric Flair at the Great American Bash 1990. And the Ultimate Warrior won his first world title from Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6.
Game over. Thank you for watching.
Boom, yeah!
All right, player. This is Toby the Man Keenan.
All right. We're rolling in action.
All right, player. This is.
Good! It really doesn't matter to me who in that ring. These two dudes, they win. Okay. It really doesn't matter to me which of these two dudes in that championship match tonight win in the ring, brother. Because I'm coming for my title, brother. That's my title. And all the Erbac maniacs know that, brother. They're going to find out the power of the Erbac mania. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show all my opponents where the power lies, brother. And what you're going to do when Erbac Mania runs wild on you. Rolling and action.
Hi, this is Kris Bowman. Thank you for watching the update.
Good. And we're rolling and action.
Tune in to. Oh, I forgot to say hey.
Oh, no. You already did that. There you go.
Hello everyone, I'm Ms. Desiree, your announcer for tonight.
Okay, announcer Desiree, take 2 and action.
Hello everyone, I am Ms. Desiree, your announcer for tonight.
All right. Cut. Wait, I got it.
Main event.
Okay, sorry. All right, we're rolling.
Ready now?
Yeah.
I want to bring in Mr. Erbac for his comments on tonight.
It's okay. Cut.
Tonight.
And we're rolling and action.
I want to bring in Mr. Erbac for his comments on tonight's main event.
Well, let me tell you something, Miss Desiree. I'm not going to come in here and be long-winded, give the Gettysburg Address. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, brother. And let me tell you something. Gee, that messed me up with the butter. I'm sorry. All right, we'll try again. And we're rolling.
I want to bring in Mr. Erbac for his comments on the main event.
All right.
On tonight's main event.
Testing. See, testing, and testing. Okay. Right there.
Hello everyone, I'm Ms. Desiree, your announcer for tonight. Announcer? Tonight's main event.
That's really good.